Welcome to a Sunday version of Command HQ. It is Sunday, June 5th, 2022. A lot of news going on this week. Agent X and I are here as always, ready to talk about what's going on. So, Agent X, how are you doing?
Doing all right, man. What's going on with you?
Nothing. I saw this Elon Musk tweet regarding the Epstein-Maxwell client list, so I kind of want to get your take on that.
Uh, man, they're really pumping up Elon Musk these days, right? He's really a front man for populism. He's really trying to they're really trying to whitewash him, right, as a front man for Darpa and the Predator class. They're really trying to get people behind him and really make him a a populist figure, right? And they're succeeding, man. You're seeing a lot of these channels that are dedicated to calling out wokeness and calling out this Me Too garbage and um, you're really seeing them um, like get behind Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is not a friend of anybody's. He is a billionaire member of the Predator class. Um, and he is as responsible for the attacks on our freedoms as anybody. I mean, he's the one launching the satellites that facilitate the military industrial class.
So this meme that he's got going here, is he explicitly talking about the Epstein Maxwell client list? Because he seems to be referencing a list in his actual tweet text, and then he has the meme itself. So I'm assuming they're the same thing.
Right.
Or is he talking
So
about
it's
something that's different regarding one of his companies?
no, he's been harping on this for a while that um one of the I just sent you an image. So this is how they play it. I've seen him have a few tweets about this Ghislaine Maxwell, and right, it's one of the things that this like anti woke conspiracy type really hammers is the fact that the government, although they've prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell, is that they have never released the client list. Even in the civil case, they sealed it. I think it was momentarily unsealed and then it was resealed. There's been various times where it was supposed to be unsealed, and at the last minute, the judge would issue an order. And so he's really trying to gain support of these uh, internet conspiracy theorists, right? It's really a populist movement by saying, "Oh, government bad. Government won't even release uh, the client list for Ghislaine Maxwell." But look who's standing right next to her with a big smile on their face. I bet
Interesting.
you
So,
anything he's on that list.
yeah, you think he's kind of using this as a way to discredit the fact that he's probably on that list?
Well, he probably knows he's on the list, and he probably knows there's not a chance in hell it's ever going to get released. So it's kind of a win-win, right? Like, who's against releasing the list?
Not
He's
anybody
kind of trying
who.
to he's trying to drum up, the internet support. Um, drum up all the people who are rooting for him to take over Twitter, even though we know he's never going to do it.
Is this kind of like a controlled opposition kind of thing too?
Well, yeah, of course he's controlled opposition. I mean, he has more right. He's always been a front man for DARP. The CIA, the DIA, they had their hands in PayPal. They've had their hands in Google. They've had their hands in Facebook. You know, but with respect to him, they've funded SpaceX, they funded Tesla, they funded a lot of these projects. He is a front man for DARPA, and he is the definition of controlled opposition.
Fascinating.
But I mean, look how hypocritical it is. Like, you know, he sends out a tweet saying, "Oh, remarkable they don't release the list," and then you have a picture of him standing right next to Maxwell with a big smile on his face.
The funny thing is that image is all over the internet too.
Yeah, you know, if it were me, I'd tweet that image out and be like, look at this fucking grifter trying to jump in a picture with me."
Yeah, yeah, he should say something like that. He should have some sort of like backstory for this, right? Like,
Yep.
oh yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell just walked up behind me as I was taking a picture. I didn't want her in the picture. I didn't even know who she
But he's
was. Yada
never
yada yada.
addressed it. He's
He
never
has never
addressed it.
addressed it. Yep,
And
exactly.
it's very weird. I mean, he's like, it's almost, how Trump has never addressed all the photos he's had with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He's always said, all, whenever he's really pressed, he's always like, I don't know. I never met him. But in reality, he was the one who reported Epstein to the FBI. He was the one who was basically responsible for Epstein getting charged in Florida. Um, and it was because Trump was sour over a real estate deal, where I think Epstein had kind of went in and stole a property out from underneath him. Um, he was trying to buy. But Trump is always like, I don't know. I've met a lot of people. I've taken a lot of pictures. But you see him like partying and dancing together in like these NBC videos. And then you have Trump while he was president. He they ask him about it while he was doing a press briefing, and he's like, "Well, I wish her well." You should pull that up, man. Let's see. It's probably on YouTube. Let me see if I can find the link.
Yeah, give me some more information on that. But I think that a lot of these
I
platforms
just sent
that
you the
come
link.
out of okay, let me.
It should be the first result. Just search Trump, Ghislaine, wish her well. Like, what an odd thing to say, right?
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous.
Yep, there it is. What does that mean?
Dude, it's bizarre. How do you explain something like that? And then you have, the internet plastered with a photo of Elon Musk Elon Musk and Maxwell that he refuses to address head on. But then he's constantly sending out tweets saying, the government should release her client list, and it's just like, what kind of bizarre world are we living in? It's really clown world.
He's playing both sides, but that is a go-to comment by Trump. And another issue here is that a lot of these platforms in Silicon Valley, startups, Darpa has a hand in one way or another. Palantir is another great example that's owned by Peter Thiel. And he was, in the PayPal mafia with Elon Musk, and
They all
Palantir
got
offers,
CIA seed money.
yeah, yeah,
They got rich with CIA seed money and DIA seed money.
yep. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Do you want to talk about this? What is this?
Dude, I mean, I came across this today, but this is the 9/11 memorial. And, you know, it's a black box, like a quintessential satanic symbol. Because I've never really thought about it. I've walked by this memorial probably 1,000 times, and I never really thought about it. And I came across something that pointed it out, but it really is very bizarre that they would have something that is a satanic symbol represent the 9/11 memorial. Like, only in America, right? Only with the Predator class would we have something like this.
This is straight up black hole level imagery here.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, right? Is one of the things these predator class, one of the things these predator class uh, people worship is the idea that we're in a simulation, um, that everything's controlled by AI, that the gateways are black holes. They believe that the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxies are portals to other universes. And like, what a bizarre kind of symbol to have that for your 9/11 memorial, like the symbol of a black hole. You even see kind of like the spinning accretion disk with the water. It's
Yeah,
very
I was just gonna
bizarre.
say that. This is kind of, for me at least, just looking at this first time, I haven't thought about this too much. It looks like an event horizon where information, this is the last uh, curve in a black hole that information can finally escape out of. As soon as it enters the actual hole, information doesn't come out of a black hole. So this is the event horizon, right? This is where
Right.
gravity is shrunk to zero.
Right. So like the black box is uh like the event horizon, and that water, everything is like the accretion disk, and you have kind of information pouring into it from the outside world with
Hmm.
the on the walls. It's very weird. It's very bizarre imagery to have for a memorial for particularly something like 9/11. It's crazy.
Super, super bizarre, satanic, to say the least. And the other thing that I noticed is you have what looks like thunderbolts, on each edge here. It's like
Well,
that white thing.
I think that those are meant to. I mean, those are obviously like jets, but they're not really thunderbolts. I think that they're meant to represent like the accretion disk, like the information swirling around it. Because black holes, they spin. Like, I guess the one in our galaxy doesn't spin, but typically they spin, right? So it's meant to kind of mimic that, the to kind of have the illusion that the black hole, the square, is spinning.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. This is reminiscent of what I was able to find on Wikipedia regarding some of the symbology, the mythology surrounding some of these satanic symbols, which we're now seeing up close with some of these memorials. And everybody knows now at this point, particularly that we've seen COVID and all the rush to judgment on that by the government, that some of these memorials openly celebrate, evil. So there's no doubt, obviously, that this is somehow connected to that.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt, and it's here. Let me send you this. So like, hold on, check this out. I'm sending this to you. So like, again, just the black square itself is a satanic symbol. It's a symbol of the satanic community. But like the spinning pentagram is too. I mean, these things have multiple meanings. I mean, they you have the black square that represents Satan, the satanic symbols. You also have it representing, like we said, this idea of a black hole and information being sucked in where it can't escape. Um, there's all sorts of like bizarre symbolism where you think that they would build something that would be very patriotic, very very Americana, very stars and stripes, and instead we have a satanic symbol, two satanic symbols for our 9/11 memorial.
Yeah, and so you sent me this link. This is fanpop.com that apparently has a collection of images. Satanic black square, uploaded by someone with, a crazy username. Okay, so I didn't even know this. What does this mean? Like, I didn't even know that the Satanists had a black square symbol. Why?
Yeah.
Why a square? Is it because a circle is a symbol of life,
Yeah, I
and a
think
square
that
is
that's
opposite of a
probably.
circle?
I think that that's probably you're probably onto something. I mean, I'm not sure about the whole symbolism of it. Um, but I do know that the black square is a symbol of Satanism. There's a famous painting called the Black Square too, and it's
Really?
like yeah, it's a one that the Satanists worship.
No way.
It's very yeah.
Here it is, I think. Black square painting. Is that if it's the same one? Let's check. It probably is. Historical context. Okay. It seems like something that Satanists would have in their house, right? Something
Yeah,
like that.
dude. Yep.
Interesting.
But it just goes back. These things are kind of hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's up to us to discover it. And the mainline churches don't actually fight evil, and temples don't do that either. But it comes down to people like us to actually see, identify, and actually fight against evil. And it's up to us to fight against evil. And that's, what God put us on earth to do, right? And
Right.
so
I
the
mean, you have
first,
all this. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, the first part of that whole equation is actually determining whether or not something is kind of like openly evil, right?
Right. And there's all this like occultist symbolism in plain sight. And I don't know how you can look at something like the CERN ceremony and not say that there is the opening day ceremony for the train tunnel and the opening
Yeah,
day for
yeah.
CERN, and not look at that and say there is something very, very wrong here. I mean, I think the Daily Mail had a headline like, like CERN employees have a very like strange performance to celebrate opening. That's it. The Gateway to the Alps, the Gotthard Tunnel opening ceremony. That's what it is. The Gotthard. And I don't know how you can't look at that and be like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, this is some weird ass shit. Like, why would you go out there and have clear occultist symbology for the opening of a railway tunnel and the opening of a particle collider?
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that especially me, I want to avoid chaos. As much conflict as I find myself in under normal circumstances, I try and avoid confrontation. I try and avoid any tense situations with people. I try and be as peaceful as possible. I am a 100% pacifist. I don't believe in violence at all. But I do believe, however, though, that it's up to us to fight evil. And it's just something you don't really want to think about. It's like one of those sensitive issues. You just don't want to acknowledge it because part of it is that you don't want this coming into your life, but you have to um, when you're confronted with, especially in our current times, stuff like this, like the Gotthard Tunnel. But it's not the Gotthard Tunnel specifically. It's this being now widespread, the 9/11 memorial, all these other things going on. I mean, the other thing I wanted to talk about just briefly this week is that there are like tons of shootings over Memorial Day weekend and this last weekend. Like Chicago, there were like 45 people shot. There was a bunch of shootings in Tennessee. All of that stuff is completely 100% evil, should never happen. Yet we're seeing it in this country. I mean, people are afraid to go to the grocery store. People are afraid to go out at all to any public gathering because of the level of violence. If you live in San Francisco, for example, I was talking to someone the other day who has lived in San Francisco for many, many years, and I was talking to them while they were traveling, and they're like, "It's unbelievable. I've never seen it as bad as it is." So, yeah, I mean, it's just everywhere now. It's impossible not to see, right?
Yeah, I guess that there's like an active shooter situation going on right now in North Carolina. Go to Breaking 911 Twitter. It's whew. I mean, it's nonstop. I mean, and it what it is, it's fermenting dissension in our society, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to unravel it. And why do they want to
Well,
do it? They want to be able to control us.
on some level, I thought that the media is just starting to report all of these out now because they want to destroy the Second Amendment. But it's overwhelming. I've never seen it so intense over the
Well, you know
past
what
two, three
part of it is?
weeks.
Part of it is like, life is getting back to normal after the coof, and you don't see people wearing masks anymore. You see people going out to events, concerts, sporting events. Like, things are back to normal. And I think some of these shootings and the way that they're drumming them up is they want people to be scared and they want them back in their homes, right?
Hmm.
Um, like, I've talked to people and colleagues who tell me that they don't let their kids go to the grocery store. They don't let their wives go to the grocery store. They don't go to malls anymore. They don't go to movie theaters. And they're absolutely terrified of not only these lunatics with the semi-automatic weapons, but they're more afraid of just the general crime spree that's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. It I feel it emotionally, and that's the thing when you see these shootings, it connects you emotionally to, seeing what happens to these people, especially in Chicago, because I live in Wisconsin, and uh, I don't live near Chicago, but I see it. And I'm just like, how can this happen? Like, why isn't Lori Lightfoot doing more, especially in a city that's probably the murder capital of the country? Uh, there's got to be a better law enforcement response. By the way, I think there was like one or two cops shot this weekend. Tragedy, tragedy. I mean, horrible, horrible. Anybody shot, but definitely peacekeepers, law enforcement when they're going in there in these very violent situations. I mean, God bless those law enforcement officers, seriously, because that's got to be one of the worst situations to be put in. And so these are very noble people who are getting involved in that level of brutality. So, anyways, let's move
Nope,
on from some
totally
of these
agree.
sad stories. Okay, the Supreme Court is going to start issuing a bunch of decisions this next week. June typically is the month where they issue between 25 to 30 decisions, right? I think. So, yeah, the biggest one's probably going to be the reversal of abortion rights, Dobbs versus Jackson. Um, and then there's a number of other big decisions that are going to come down the pipeline. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really studied too much on it. I mean, I think that the fact that they haven't released the Dobbs decision yet sort of suggests that that was a very preliminary draft opinion, and we may not actually see Roe v. Wade overturned. Um, I mean, it was written in January, right? Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Um, yeah, I mean, it's the summertime, right? Uh, you got to get Antifa going. It's happened
Oh,
every
yeah.
summer, and
Antifa's got a
um,
bunch of travel money they want to use, right? Oh,
yeah.
that,
So
that reminds
I
me.
mean,
Umbrella Man in Minneapolis.
Umbrella Man. Oh yeah, Umbrella
You guys
Man, right?
remember Umbrella Man?
Yeah, I mean, it's you got to remember the midterms are coming up, man. They got to get Antifa out, and what better way to get Antifa out and rioting than some Supreme Court decisions that rile people up, that you know overturn Roe v. Wade, that seemingly, I think that there's an issue before the Supreme Court that whether, what is it, like a uh, there's some
Gun rights are up.
LGBTQ stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
gun
there's a
rights
bunch
are
of
up.
LGBTQ stuff. I think there's meritocracy is up. The Asian lawsuit against Harvard, that's going to be a big one. I think is also in this.
Yeah, and like you and I talk about it, white males, you know, we've been getting it pretty hard, right? But the way that they have turned on the Asian community, particularly in college admissions and job um, hiring, hiring practices of these of companies, the way that they have turned on Asians is absolutely crazy. It's almost impossible if you have an Asian sounding name. It's almost impossible to get into a top university these days.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's almost impossible, and
Why are there
it's
so many
bad for.
Asians then in higher education if it's impossible?
Well, because well, it's almost impossible to get into a good undergraduate, right? Um, I I think that the pool of candidates for like PhD programs or advanced engineering programs, it's very, very limited. Um, you're not seeing a lot of, I mean, nowadays, you're not seeing a lot of white people apply to these very advanced degrees. You're not seeing a lot of black people apply. You're not seeing a lot of women apply. What you're seeing is a lot of Asian, a lot of Indian um, people apply because that's the pool. I mean, you're seeing a lot of them in these programs because that's the pool you're pulling from. Um, if you go look at the statistics, I mean, going to undergraduate is way down for white males. It's like down,
That's
you
true.
know,
Yeah. White male
it's way
undergraduate. I'm going to
down.
search that.
It's it's down. I mean, the last number I remember is down 20%, but I don't know what it's down 20% from. Um, It'd be an interesting number to pull, but your talent pool is very limited, and you have these foreign students from Asian countries and um, from Asian countries that really value education and value higher degrees, and that's the talent pool you're pulling from. But you see things like law school, where law school is really a fallback degree for ding dongs and idiots. For the most part, right? It's for people who majored in a soft science, like political science or economics, and they can't actually get it, or not economics, but political science or English or some bullshit degree that they can't go out and actually, they don't have a marketable skill. Like economics, you have a marketable skill. Computer science, you have a marketable skill. Engineering, you have a marketable skill. Political science, English, history, the list goes on and on of these bullshit majors, and they don't have a marketable skill for employers. So these ding dongs who couldn't cut it in hard STEM sciences, their fallback is law school, right? And that's why you see a lot of ding dongs. Like, I mean, it's like 60% of kids in law school now are women. Why? Because they all got the gender studies degrees. They all have the history degrees. Um, they couldn't
I don't
cut
know
it
if
in the
that's
hard
true.
science.
I honestly think that there's difference in language skill. Lawyers typically are fairly articulate. I mean, well, I should say that's not true. I would say
That's
that
not true at
lawyers
all,
like to
man.
talk.
did you
That's
did you
actually
not
not
just
true at
watch
all.
the Johnny? Did
Right.
you
No,
not
I
just
agree
watch
with
the
you.
Johnny Depp trial? I mean, you had between
But
Camille,
law
well, between Elaine Bradahoff, um, Rottenborn, and Camille. I mean, every one of them had severe Asperger's and couldn't, could spit out a question. Come on, man, they're not articulate.
Well, let me rephrase that. I'll say that the skills to become a lawyer typically require a hope that someone has at least mediocre language skills. And there's a lot of first English or English as a first language speakers talk about being inarticulate. I'm not the most articulate person in the world, obviously, but if you're Chinese, you're Asian, English might be a second language for you, and so you're not going to go into law school. That's the point.
Well, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think law school is really there for people who don't have a marketable skill after undergrad, um, and they just go to law school as the fallback, right? They're ding dongs. They're ding dongs, man. I
Well,
think
I was. What were you gonna say?
I think, well, I think that we both had enough experience around lawyers to know that they're incapable, inarticulate, um, unintelligent ding dongs for the most part.
Remember a Wall Street Journal article, probably from 6 months ago or something, and it talked about that white men are typically going into some sort of skill, carpentry, um, music production, stuff like that, stuff that they enjoy doing. It is a hard skill. Women are taking over academia. Asians. I guess the point is that I think of there being a lot of Asians in universities. Whenever you go to a large campus, you'll see at least 30 to 40% of the population, I think,
But I think that
being
I think
foreign.
that you have, I think that you have, you know, goggles on from the 1990s and the aughts. That was the case. That's not the case anymore. I think you see lots of Asians and lots of Indians in graduate programs because that's the pool of people that these graduate programs are pulling from. Because you're not having a lot of white people, a lot of black people, a lot of Latinos applying to these advanced degrees. And as you said, you're seeing more and more white men go into just foregoing college altogether, saying, "Well, I'm not going to go $100,000 or more in debt. I'm just going to go learn a skill and
Well,
go into a trade."
I went to traditional schools and incurred significant student debt. And it is something that I've had a resentment over for many years. And as you know, you were talking about your brother yesterday. My brother, um, who works in a similar field that I do, does similar things. He never went to college. He never went to a typical school, and he probably not now, but for many many years made the same amount of money without any debt. And he's had a lot more material success than me. So, yeah, I mean, I think that you could probably do the same thing you want in life without necessarily, for example, having, a degree. But you do reach a plateau at some point.
Well, a degree, right? I mean, they talk a lot about this in economic classes, and that's really the only place you'll hear about it on a college campus, and it's rare. Is a college degree is not. I mean, going to college, it does a couple things, right? It gets you out of your parents' house, kind of gets you acclimated to. I mean, the way that a lot of professors frame it, it's like it's kind of an in between. You're kind of on your own, but you're not on your own, right? It's like kind of getting you ready for the real world, and I think that that's a bad way to approach it. But so there's kind of that. There's kind of the social value of being out on your own, um, and learning to kind of socially acclimate, things like that. Um, the idea that you go to college and you learn you refine your basic skills. You learn how to become a better writer. You learn how to do research. You learn how to study issues. You learn how to, um, tackle to engage
Probably
in
made me a
problem solving.
worse writer,
Well,
actually.
well, and the idea is that you will major in something and you will get the foundational knowledge to go into that and go into an entry level job and prepare. But yeah, I mean, you're really seeing that lacking. You really saw those types of things uh,
I think it's
really
because
regress
corruption
in
is so
education.
rampant. Corruption is really rampant in higher education, especially in larger
Well,
universities. I can tell you, like the University of Minnesota, there's a lot of corruption. there.
Well,
And
hold on.
speaking
Let me
of,
finish. Let me finish my thought real quick. So, economists, in the economic departments, economists will tell you that the point of getting a college degree, right? It's a signaling device to say,
mhm,
"Oh, I'm competent over people who don't have it. Like I've put in the time. I have a basic understanding of a fundamental knowledge of engineering or computer science." And it's a signaling device. And the better university you go to, right, it signals that you're a harder worker. It signals that you're more intelligent. So it's really, what you're getting with a college degree is it's a signaling device. It's a signaling device to employers, graduate schools, yada yada yada. But you're right that higher education has become a really just a grifting scheme. With you seeing tuition prices just getting jacked up. You see the federal government backing student
mhm.
loans, so just about everybody can get one.
Yeah,
It's
you
really,
basically have that
really
same
terrible.
mortgage crisis in academia right now, where anybody who wants a loan can get one, and then you just waste your life away getting some useless degree.
Yep, exactly.
But there's I have I know people who, for example, have degrees from top universities, right? And they face very little interview objection to getting jobs at like Google or YouTube. I probably shouldn't even talk about it on a YouTube stream. But it's like they get a free path in. Whereas,
Well, I mean, it's the signaling device, right? It's the I'm intelligent. I went to a top school. It's a way employers can then say, "Oh, I have somebody who went to Harvard." We get the top graduates. It's all just a signaling scheme, and in reality, it's all just a major grift.
yeah, and when I've seen some of their work, it's no different than a lot of other people's work. I mean, it's no different until you really really get
Exactly.
to higher levels. Anyways, we've beat this one. Let's talk about okay. New York Post is trying to turn Camille Vasquez into a celebrity attorney.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting. If you go, if you search the Law Journal or law.com did an article that basically said she was representing like a dumpster company, dumpster companies, and like um, payroll like small business payroll companies, like kind of making fun of her. Um, making fun of her career before she got this case. And the only reason she got this case was because, well, I mean, it's a couple reasons, like, but it's all connected to the fact that um, Ben Chu has been Johnny Depp's longtime attorney. He's the one who sued his agent, I think. Um, and Ben Chu got pushed out of his old law firm a couple years ago. He went to Brown Rudnick. Camille Vasquez is in the LA office, and they needed an attractive woman who was like a little chihuahua to go after Amber Heard. That's, I mean, you can see that the soul, like, what did she do there? Like, what was she didn't do Depp's direct. She didn't do the vast majority of witness, even when they had the deposition testimony. You didn't hear her doing a lot of those depositions, right? Ben Chu did more of those depositions than she did. The sole reason she was there was to cross-examine Amber Heard, and it was because she's an attractive female, and they needed a female to go after a female. Your boy Bruce Rivers talked about this. Was that if you had a man up there cross-examining her, then it would play right into the narrative. Look at this big bad man abusing Amber Heard. If you had a ugly woman like that big fat woman they had who looked like, you know, her you could see her panty lines and they looked like they were sailboat masts. Um, if they had her do it, it would look like, oh, look at this ugly woman picking on this beautiful princess. They needed an attractive woman, and listen, people say she did a good job with the cross examination. I don't think she did a good job. I think she was kind of belligerent. If Amber Heard had been prepped better, I think, and not, and if she didn't constantly shift to the jury, if they kind of taught her how to control the pace of answering the questions, if they, you know, made her a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more, uh, I guess, gracious and humble, and kind of acknowledge the fact that some of what she said has been exaggerated. I think she would have absolutely decimated um, Camille Vasquez,
Here's what I
because Camille
think.
Vasquez was not good.
I think that Vasquez is perfect to become a celebrity attorney in part because of her age. She's relatively young in comparison to Ben Chu, so she's got more glide path there. She's somewhat attractive, so she can be rolled out, and she's a woman, and they need kind of a heroine that comes out of this. And because this case is a lot about women and feminism in general, she's a great product of like a new version of feminism, right?
Pretty much. I mean, but when's the next time we're going to get a high profile case like this? Never. I mean, it's going to be years. I mean, I guess the Bill Cosby case is coming up, but Bill Cosby's washed up. Um, you know, the other
Well,
thing is, the other thing is, she graduated in 2010. We're almost to 2000. I mean, she's 12 years out of law school. Partnership track, particularly at these shit law firms like Brown Rudnick, is 8 years. You know, you I'm not gonna say it, but you know, she hasn't made partner yet. Um, in 12 years, and I think that the sole reason she's been kept around is to be put on. Um, she was there to cross-examine Amber Heard. She probably spent, months, maybe if not years, prepping for it.
you think so? Like a month
Absolutely.
before she was about to cross-examine Amber Heard, do you think she was in pretty much daily practice, questions, going over what she was going to ask, any potential objections that were raised, how to respond to those, all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, because that was the most critical part of the trial. All the other experts, all the other witnesses, I mean, it didn't matter, right? It all came down to whether or not Amber Heard was credible on the stand. And Heard dug her own grave with, being inconsistent, acting like an actress. She wasn't prepped right. And, a lot of that is her own fault because her insurance company was paying for her attorneys. So, I mean, they didn't have the greatest incentive to go all out for her either. And, you know, Amber Heard fell right into the trap. Camille Vasquez was just better prepared.
In line with this, I think that someone set up on GoFundMe a donation campaign for Amber Heard that was quickly shut down. I think it was for like $1 million or something. Deletes campaign to donate 1 million to Amber Heard. So it's kind of funny how pulls plug on Amber Heard Johnny Depp fundraiser. Yeah, not to get off topic about Camille Vasquez, but yeah, interesting. I wonder how she's going to pay her lawyers because she's never going to pay the actual judgment that the jury. It's not a judgment essentially; it's a verdict, but she's never going to pay that. But she's going to have to pay her lawyers, and I guess she was
Her
renting.
no 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 her homeowners insurance is paying for the attorneys.
Oh, really? That's
Yep.
another scam. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this, Agent X. What is this? Map of the day. Ex-KGB analyst predicts balkanization of U.S.
Right. So
Balkanization is like a fragmentation of individual nation states.
it's what we've been talking about, right, for a long time now. Is that you see people like Tim Pool and other people fermenting a civil war in this country. Even Trump came out and said something about it. And now you're starting to see people actually draw up the maps of what the United States is going to look like after the Civil War. You basically had this KGB agent come out and say this is what Russia is predicting the United States will split into.
Okay, so we have a huge Midwest. We have a West Coast. We have an East Coast, and we kind of have a South with Texas included, and New Mexico.
You see that you will be under Canadian influence.
Well, the upper Midwest is almost like Canada, anyways.
Do you see the Atlantic America will join the European Union? It's bullshit.
Which part of the country would you want to live in under this map?
I don't believe any of it. I mean, the California Republic will be part of China or be under Chinese influence. We'll be part of. I mean, it's kind of a bullshit map, right? I mean,
He's a little naive in some of these assertions, like Canadian influence. That would assume that then Canada would have more power than the U.S., which is almost absurd. And
it would assume that
not to
Canada
denigrate
would have.
Canadians by any means. I'm not trying to do that.
It assumes that Canada will have more power than one of these.
Sections.
And that's probably or Mexico. Look at the Texas Republic.
Oh yeah, that would that's another absurd argument. But you know what they
Um,
say is like Mexico actually could be an economic powerhouse in Central America. They really could be if they got their act together. And they already have had probably the biggest influence on Texas in terms of its economic output. I mean, a lot of Texas labor is basically somehow dependent on Mexico in one way or another. Okay, let's talk about what was this? Beauty influencer.
Dude, I sent that to you. I thought that was hilarious. I thought the comments were hilarious.
Oh, the comments are pretty funny in this. Okay, we'll move on from that quickly.
No, but go back to it. But
Okay.
isn't it hilarious that, people in this country now just like they don't work, man. They they just want everything handed to them.
That's true. It's so true, isn't it? Do you see that more commonplace among younger women in particular?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have this influencer culture. You see, like women want to get rich. Younger women want to get rich on TikTok and OnlyFans and Instagram, and you see younger men want to get rich with crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And that's kind of what you're seeing.
Well, there's a difference though, because one is kind of a passive investment, depending on how you're playing the market, the crypto market, and then the other one is kind of like exploiting other people, right? Exploiting men
Yep.
for money, charging men to go on dates. And then this isn't like solicitation, it's not prostitution. I'm talking about just straight up charging men to go out to dinner. Like
Yeah.
$300,
Dude, show the
$400.
comments. Scroll down. Show the comments. It's hilarious, man. Like, hold on. Show the picture of her butt first.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's another picture in here. This is her backside. Safe for a
terrible.
stream. Yep. It's a New York Post article, and here are the comments. So why did the New York Post add comments to this story, by the way? Because they were trying to shame
I
this
don't
woman?
know. This woman got ripped apart. A
So
golf ball has
here's the
fewer
comment. I love
dimples.
how there's like 36 likes on it. Don't blame the dressing room, man. A golf ball has fewer dimples. How old do you think this woman is? She can't be that old. I mean, she's probably going to be what, in her early 30s, maybe late
No,
30s with that.
she's probably in her 20s, early
No
20s.
way.
Look her
Her
up.
body,
Look up her
her
Instagram.
body's like you can't. That's like a late 30s body right there.
Dude, look up her Instagram. See what it is.
Okay, let's see where it is. Is this it?
She's
Georgie
no
Clark.
I bet you that's what Camille Vasquez's butt looks like.
Dude, wow. I mean, her. Okay. She looks great, except for that backside image. Oh, here it is. Maybe it's a photoshopped image. Yeah, she's young though. Georgie Clark.
Georgie Clark. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Ukrainians are selling javelins on a foreign shadow trading platform for $30,000 each.
Yeah. Who wouldn't have guessed this was going to happen, right? We constantly get scammed by the rest of the world,
Yeah,
and we've
talk
just been
about
scammed again.
talk about young women exploiting men for money. This is exactly what these countries are doing, accepting money from the United States and essentially just doing the same thing. I mean, $30,000 for one javelin. That's a lot of money, especially if you're living in one of these countries where $30,000 deposit to your bank account can make a huge difference in your life, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of those Ukrainians only make $12,000 a year.
Oh man. Yeah. I
That's
mean, it's
just
just
crazy.
another. It's just
Total
another
scam.
example of how the world rips off and scams America. I
And
mean, Trump
this is
talked
one
about it
thing
a
Trump
lot.
ended it. Trump ended that, which was
Yeah, he ended a
fantastic.
lot of it. I mean, he may not have ended it all,
Yeah, well,
but
it's hard
he
to end it
called it
all.
out. He called
Called
it
it out.
out. And it made people embarrassed. It made the rest of the world embarrassed.
Yeah, but why do these administrations continue to give freebies to all these countries? And I have no political posture in terms of the Ukraine Russia conflict. I get that they want to prevent Russia from invading. I get that. But why are we the world's bank account? And individually, why are we working to pay those taxes in order to produce that kind of foreign
Because we're a whore of a country. We're the only country in the world who's willing to take out or who's willing to go into massive amounts of debt to basically service the rest of the world.
and Americans abroad are treated terribly. They're constantly exploited for money. And maybe that plays into the mystique of the ugly American, the mythos of Americans being rude and abrasive, especially when they travel abroad in Europe. But I mean, when you're giving $30,000 javelins, which on its own, is a lethal weapon that should never be given out unless it's under very, very close supervision, and just giving out randomly to whoever wants one on the streets of Kiev, who knows who they're giving these to, right?
Exactly. Who knows where they're going to end up? Dude, go to Drudge Report. Gas prices on the verge of doubling since Biden's first day in office. Dude, we have the Pope, the world's biggest pedophile,
Yeah,
going to retire now.
gas
Child
prices double.
exploiter.
He's going to retire too. So we're going to have three living
Yeah,
popes.
I guess so.
Well, lightning might strike the Vatican if he retires. Yeah, these people. Wow.
What is he covering up?
Yeah, really, all these child rings.
Putin's pundit: nuclear war is coming.
Where'd you see that in this?
It's in the top left of the.
Oh, here it is. Putin's pundit.
It's very interesting. Did you see that Russia started, or I guess they came out and started demanding that we return Alaska the other day.
I think I kind of saw that a little bit.
It's not good, man.
It's probably where they'd invade from, the land bridge. What else do we have here? We got a bunch of stuff. I don't know if you want to cover it all, but okay. So this is kind of a funny Washington Post article. Conservatives predict gas prices will spike under Biden. Experts say those fears are overblown. Well, yeah, there you go. Gas has doubled. If not, I don't even think it's doubled. For me, I was just talking to my, I was talking to someone out here that I know that I've talked to probably weekly. I was describing, I don't, at least in the past 2 years, I haven't driven that much. So whenever I've filled my tank up, it's between 28 to $30 when Trump was president, and it was like $75. That's not
Yeah,
double. For me, that was
doubled,
like
man.
2.5 times as expensive.
It's crazy. I remember when Bush was president, and people like started panicking because gas hit $3 a gallon. I mean, we're way over four now, and people are just, you know, nobody's panicking about it. Nobody cares. I mean, we're gonna see $10 a gallon gas easily
Why is that though?
because
I
they'll.
think it's because of the millennial population. They hate cars or they don't own cars.
Well, so we were at a tipping point in the early 2000s. There was a real concern about peak oil, right? You saw Saudi oil production
I
starting to
remember that.
plateau. They couldn't pump out any more oil. Um, Same thing with Russia, and basically, um, these oil companies perfected fracking, and I mean it alleviated uh, the issue of peak oil because with fracking we have oil for hundreds of years, and now you're seeing the Biden administration crack down on these leases, crack down on fracking, and they're obviously manipulating the oil market too. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors at play, right? They're trying to get us to switch to uh, electric cars, and who's at the forefront of electric cars?
Elon Musk, Darpa, the government.
Exactly, exactly. I think there's a
True.
lot
That's a
of a
that's a
lot
pretty
of
valid
things
point.
going on.
It's a
There's a
very
lot
valid
of
point.
things going on. I think that they've shut down a lot of the fracking. They've shut down a lot of the oil production. I think that this is a push to try to get people, I mean, to squeeze people, to crash the economy, to push us to electric cars, to basically push us into Elon Musk, right? Um, it's very bizarre. I mean, we're living in very bizarre times.
Everybody realizes it now, and it's hard to continue to harp on because it's so obvious. But at the same time, one of these little pieces of information in the back of my mind, I remember. Do you remember those indictments for like Peter Lewandowski? He was a developer on one of these automated car platforms. Platforms, yeah. Let me try and think. I think he like stole the source code or something from like Google's self-driving car, and they tried to indict him, and they got like some sort of like $250 million judgment against him or something. And there's been a lot of DOJ activity to prevent any of this technology from getting out of the hands of DARPA. And I think they gagged him too. I mean, they wouldn't allow him to talk about it. I mean, similar to everything that's happened to me, where I can't really talk about much without lawyers contacting me and trying to gag me. But um, yeah, I gotta pull that up. Do you, Peter?
I don't
Google
remember it.
self. I think he worked for like a competing indicted for alleged theft of trade secret from Google. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Lewandowski. Yeah. Sometimes I have a photographic memory. 33 counts of theft and attempted theft of trade secrets. Was this an SEC indictment or it was a criminal indictment? Yep. Not good. I can't remember what happened with this, but yeah. The point here is that they've tried to maintain DARPA's control over all of this tech.
Yep, that they've really clamped down on the leaks. I think a lot of this UFO stuff, right, is DARPA tech.
Probably. And more of it comes out to try and normalize it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's very very weird. I'm looking at some Hunter Biden laptop stuff.
Ooh.
It's
Sorry
very
for
weird,
you.
right? I mean, it's very weird, right? They published the article that he was sending the porn links to his Pornhub to Joe Biden, and it comes out the same day as they had to rush to get that verdict out, right?
What
And
kind of
the
child
jury
would do that? What kind of child would send links like that to their own parents? Just sick, man.
I mean, there's no doubt about it, right? He's certainly compromised by China, certainly compromised by Ukraine. The whole family is, and the fact that Joe Biden is still in the White House is a
It's a
threat to this
joke.
country.
Yeah, it's a
It's
joke.
it's an imminent threat.
Total joke. All right. Okay, so that was that. Okay, so another sad story just to get through this quickly. CBS News. Yeah, okay. Okay, so they handcuffed a parent who had showed up to the Uvalde Elementary School when she was attempting to rescue her own children who apparently were in the school. Law enforcement at the scene called her a quote threat. Here's the most important thing of this whole tweet. If she talked to the media about the police response, she would face an obstruction of justice charge. So the
I thought
cover
that
up
they would
was real.
revoke her probation or something.
Oh, really? They
Yeah,
figured out she was on probation and they threatened her with it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Typical. Cover up. Typical. Meta announces the
Dude,
World Economic Forum.
I'm reading dude, I'm reading the Hunter Biden laptop how it got to the repair shop. It's fucking nuts, man. It is nuts.
Where are you reading this?
It's I guess one of the Bannon people posted it on 4chan and basically explained how it got to the repair shop. So I guess the Haley, the sister-in-law who he started going out with, found the text messages between her and the niece, or sorry, between him and the niece on the laptop, and threw it in the pool. And Hunter fished it out of the pool and took it to the repair shop.
Oh, really? Through the laptop in the pool?
Yeah, so Haley threw it in the pool. Remember, there was the report that she threw his gun in a trash can.
Yeah, I guess.
She threw the gun in
Wait,
the trash
but
can
was she
in the
she
Secret
threw?
Service.
Oh, I do remember that. Was she trying to throw this in the pool though because she wanted to destroy the evidence, or was she doing this because she was so angry that Hunter was doing this? I mean, I guess they probably don't know, but
I think it was both. Like both that he was like, I guess, quote unquote, cheating on her, but also had the images of the niece on the laptop. I mean, I don't know. There's some very bizarre. I mean, there are images out there floating around on 4chan where he's naked and she's in the same room as him. Not Haley, the niece. It's bizarre, and so
this
she
tracks back
found it.
to that whole evil symbology that we started the stream out with. I mean, it's just evil.
Well, right. And so I guess so. It says that Hunter fishes out the laptop. She threw it in a pool and takes it to the repair shop. Basically, his whole life's on the laptop. They send him to a rehab facility, and he forgot about the that the laptop was at the repair shop. So he was in
Okay, so
rehab in
he was probably
2019.
high on meth or crack cocaine, and he took the laptop to the repair shop. And the guy, John Paul Mack, whatever his name was, took it in. And then he forgot about it when he was at rehab, of course, because rehab's usually a 30-day stint. Got back, realized that the laptop was still there. No, wait, he never realized the laptop was still there, so he just left it there. And he turned it into the FBI. And the FBI has tried to conceal it.
Dude, you need to play this. This is the most bizarre thing, right? They captured. So this was on the whitehouse.gov feed, and they captured it, right? Somebody like broke into the feed and started talking about a plea deal.
Really? What's the title of it?
I just sent it to you the link.
Oh,
The whole stream was like a couple hours long, but I sent you the link to the where it is on it.
yeah. What's the title of it? So I can search YouTube quick.
Uh,
I try to pull up the exact URL.
it's unlisted. It's unlisted. You have to go to the link that I sent you.
I gotta type this in again. Type as fast as I possibly can. Oh,
Dude, YouTube killed our stream again.
I know.
We were getting like 500 viewers, and they fucking killed it.
It's not available anymore unless I have the wrong. Can you send it to me
You
in the
definitely have the
actual interview chat thing?
Yeah, hold on. Dude, you know, we haven't seen Seabass in a long time.
Yep, looking forward to Seabass calling in. By the way, if you want to call in, feel free to do so. Seabass, if you're out there, call in. Speaking of the Hunter Biden
COVID-19 team, response team,
stuff,
Dr. Tony Fauci,
Seabass
our
likes that.
chief COVID medical advisor, Javier Becerra, excuse me, our nominee for Secretary of Health.
So just so you know my life, as
Dr.
we're waiting
Rick
to
Murphy,
do this, I
our
just
nominee for
agreed
Surgeon
to
General. Dr. Rochelle
plea sentence
Walensky,
for
she's going to be the director
What
of
the
Centers
fuck?
for Disease.
This is straight from the White House's own YouTube channel.
Control and Prevention. And Dr.
What the fuck? Wait. Let me go back here.
COVID-19 team, response team, Dr. Tony Fauci, our chief COVID medical advisor, Javier Becerra, excuse me, our nominee for Secretary of Health.
So just so you know my life, as
Dr.
we're waiting
Rick
to do
Murphy,
this, I
our
just
nominee for
agreed
Surgeon
to
General. Dr. Rochelle
plea sentence
Walensky,
for
she's going to be the director for this.
So who was that chimed in there?
There's more to it, but it's they think it's Hunter Biden.
It kind of sounds like his voice, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's
And he
not.
agreed
That's
to
on like the White House.
a sentence
It's
of
on
some
the
sort.
official White House link.
In some
or
sealed
YouTube.
indictment, he agreed to some sort of plea deal.
Yeah.
It sounded a lot like his voice, didn't it? I mean, unless someone's playing a huge prank.
Yeah, and it's on the official White House YouTube channel.
This is nuts. How the hell did you find this?
COVID-19 team.
I'm going to play it
response
again
team.
just to make sure.
Dr. Tony Fauci, our
I think
Chief
if you
COVID
keep
Medical
playing it, he cuts
Advisor,
back in.
Javier Becerra, excuse me,
Okay, I'll play it.
our nominee for Secretary of Health
So
and
just so you
Human
know my
Services,
life, as we're
Dr.
waiting
Rick
to do
Murphy,
this, I
our
just
nominee for
agreed
Surgeon
to
General, Dr. Rochelle
plea sentence
Walensky,
for
she's going to be the director for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Dr. Marcelo Nunez Smith, who will be leading our equity work and the COVID response, and Jeff Zients and Natalie Quillen, who are managing this whole effort. Yesterday, during my inaugural address, I offered a salient prayer and a silent prayer. It was both salient and silent.
He's
I
the
thought it
most
was important that
inarticulate
people
president we've
understand
ever
what
had.
happened, that we all pay tribute to our prayers for those
Oh, yeah.
400,000 Americans
Maybe
who
barely
that's
lost their
it.
lives in this pandemic.
I remember there being
On
more to it.
Tuesday,
I guess there. I mean, unless you know exactly
Jill
where,
and
let's see.
Kamal and Doug, we stood at the reflecting pool in front
Maybe
of the
I'll fast
Lincoln
forward
Memorial. Then, wait a minute. Meet our goal of
Yeah, no,
administering.
there's nothing. I can't listen to him anymore. Every time he speaks, I just shut down.
Dude, is that not wild?
That is wild. And this is, I was like, are you sure this is the real? Yeah, it's the real one. 2 million subscribers, the White House. This isn't some like parody account.
That's
nuts.
unlisted.
This is definitely
the video,
not a parody.
Right?
This is definitely not a parody account. Yeah, that's definitely Hunter Biden. Maybe he was on the phone. He's probably on the phone with some Secret Service agent or some assistant to his dad, and it somehow got piped into the stream. Yeah,
That's
but he
fucking
agreed to a
wild,
plea
right?
deal. When was this taken? This is nuts.
This
January
was like the
21st.
day after he was sworn in. Yeah.
Of course. They would try and push him for an indictment like a day after the swearing. This is nuts.
Dude, I told you, man.
Holy cow, jeez.
Dude, you got to download that video because it's going to go missing. It's going to be memory hold.
Yeah, and our stream just got
Fucking
shut down
nuked.
as soon as we started talking about this.
Got fucking nuked.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to cover any of these other stories? Or do you think we should maybe shut it down?
I shut it down. We'll cover them tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the channel and like the video. Agent X, do you have anything else to say before we turn the stream off for the night?
Stay safe out there. Keep your eyes open. A lot of things are hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. See ya. Bye.